President Biden released his fiscal year 2022 budget last Friday night, right before the long Memorial Day weekend. Of course, that raised our eyebrows. In all 72 pages, not once does this budget mention border security. Nancy Pelosi has said that a budget should be a statement of our national values. So let's get into Biden's values and priorities as per his budget. Joining me right now is the ranking member of the House Budget Committee, Missouri Congressman Jason Smith. Congressman, it's always a pleasure. Thank you very much for being here. We have new numbers to share with our audience this morning. We spoke with Brandon Judd. He is the head of the Border Patrol Union, and he told us what the apprehensions look like in terms of illegals coming into Texas. We are talking about a continuation of incredible numbers, 172,000 apprehensions in the month of May, 48,000 people got away. We have no idea where they went, and there was no mention of any of this in the budget. Can you talk to us about the priorities of the Biden administration as per his budget?
Maria, it's great to be with you. Those numbers that you just shared are just astounding. Think about this. More people have illegally crossed the southern border than the entire population of Kansas City, Missouri now since January 20th. And this budget that President Biden released a week ago Friday in the afternoon before Memorial Day holiday weekend, hoping, I guess, that the American public won't see the details within it, it provides $69 trillion of spending over 10 years, $6 trillion of spending just this year, but they couldn't find one additional dollar for the border wall, let alone a 0% increase for Homeland when we're facing this border crisis. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I want to talk about the priorities here, because I know that in the budget, Congressman, he's got $4 billion allocated to Central American countries. So there's zero increase in spending for Homeland Security. There's now no increase in defense spending, because when you actually compare it to inflation, 1.6% increase means it's negative defense spending. And yet $4 billion for Central American countries. So are these the priorities that we're looking at right now? EPA gets an increase of 22% in the budget. I.R.S. getting $80 billion to hire 86,000 new auditors.
Look at this. This is the first budget that has been released by the Democrats since they have been in power in over 800 days, since Nancy Pelosi became Speaker of the House. And as Nancy Pelosi said, a budget is a statement of their values. And clearly, by this budget, it shows that they have very little concern for our men and women in uniform. In fact, they propose in this budget to spend more money in 10 years on interest on our debt, which is $914 billion, and they want to spend on our military. In fact, the increase on military is 1.6%, Maria, which is less than inflation. And like we mentioned, protecting our homeland, a 0% increase, but they want to increase the EPA by 22%, and they want to hire 87,000 new auditors with the I.R.S. to go after men and women and to make sure that they're paying their fair share to the I.R.S.
Hold on.
Crazy.
Wow. Hold on, Congressman. We got to get more into this.
You know, they're proposing, Maria, to spend $80 billion to hire 87,000 I.R.S. auditors. That's like filling the National Stadium 2 different times just to go after families and small businesses and farmers to make sure that they're paying their fair share with the auditors. And they believe that by hiring these 87,000 auditors, they're going to be able to come up with over $700 billion in revenues. So that means they're going to be looking under every crook and cranny to find what they can with every American, which is pretty scary.
Well, it really strikes me that we are in dangerous times. Today is D-Day, 77 years after D-Day, and today we are confronting, first of all, thank you to all of our troops and our courageous men and women who gave their lives and fought for the freedom and liberty of this country. Today we face even bigger threats with communist China and Iran. As the threats are rising, there's no increase in Homeland Security. There's no increase in defense spending. Let's put up a bar chart that we have here from your committee, the Budget Committee, to show us where the spending is going. Walk us through this. How come there's so much money going to education and no money going to Homeland Security?
First off, when you look at that bar chart, Maria, this is additional increases. Anything that is non-defense roughly has an average of 16% or more of an increase whenever, remember, we've already funded all of these agencies where they have tens of billions of dollars in leftover funds from the 5 to 6 different COVID packages that has been passed over the year. So they already have more money than what they possibly can spend and that they're not spending. But when it comes to securing our border, you see not $1 in additional spending.
Wow.
And when it comes to providing for our men and women in uniform, the increase is so minimal. It's the lowest since World War II.
Not only that, but at the out years, after a sugar high with all of this money going to the economy, his expectations for growth are flat, under 2%. So what's the point of spending all of this money if it's not leading to growth? But the real question I want to ask you, Congressman, is how is he planning on paying for this? Will he be able to raise taxes? Is he going to get it through reconciliation? And whose taxes are going where? Tell us the most egregious tax increases that you see.
You know, Maria, what I think is the most alarming within this budget proposal, you hit on the GDP. In the president's budget proposal, he says GDP over the first 2 years will be at 2.2%. In the last 8 years of the budget, it will be 1.9%. The reason why it will be at 1.9% is because his policies will be taking effect. And his policies within this budget is increasing taxes to the highest level this country has ever seen. $55 trillion in collections of taxes over the next 10 years. You're seeing increases on low-income, working class. President Biden campaigned and said that he would not raise taxes on low income, but in fact, that's what he does in this budget proposal. A family of 4 who makes less than $60,000 a year will face a $2,000 a year increase in taxes. And I'll tell you, a family of 4 is doing everything they can to get by right now. And with this crazy spending, Maria, with inflation going around, they're already seeing a huge increase of putting food on their table, clothes on their backs, medicine in their cabinets, gas in their cars. It's absolutely getting out of control.
I must admit that I have found this hearing to be stunning in that it seems, Mr. Secretary, that you're proud of the progress being made by the administration, that things are going well at the border. And I look at this chart that was prepared by Senator Johnson, and I see an extraordinary crisis. I mean, do you recognize this as an alarming crisis?
Senator, I look at immigration as a challenge that has been persistent for many years.
Of course, but we were running along here, and now we're seeing apprehensions at the border that have skyrocketed. And just as alarming, perhaps even more so, is the chart that came from Senator Portman, which is unaccompanied children who are being led into the country, an explosion in that number. I mean, is this not a massive failure that would suggest that the administration needs to take immediate action to remedy what we're seeing here?
Senator, we have taken immediate action with respect to the unaccompanied children, and we've made
is the number coming down?
And we are addressing that challenge with increasing efficiency every single day.
Increasing efficiency to get them moved to other parts of the country and with families and out of these crowded facilities. I understand that. I'm delighted that we're not having kids sleeping on floors and in cages. That totally. But the number coming into our country and being released into our country is at a skyrocketed level, as is this. The question is, do you have plans to do something dramatically different such that those numbers come down to an acceptable level? Because you can imagine this overwhelms our Border Patrol agents. I mean, if they've got numbers like this they're dealing with, this means that the drug cartels can be smuggling through drugs because our folks are taking care of kids, they're taking care of people coming in illegally. Do we have plans to dramatically address what's happening here?
2 points, if I may, Senator, both of which are extremely important. The laws of our country provide certain procedures and certain rights for children who arrive unaccompanied and have claims of asylum, who claim fear of persecution by reason of their membership in a particular social group.
I understand
So we
that.
have an obligation.
But we were turning those kids away under Title 42, and the new administration came in and said, we won't turn them away, we'll let them come in. And I presume as a result of that, the numbers went through the roof.
Senator, we are addressing the numbers consistent with the law
Well,
under the
do you want
trafficking victim.
propose a new law? I mean, we have a crisis both for children. I mean, you talk about the humanitarian concerns of kids that come here, and I understand we've addressed that.
Children.
But you're addressing that. They're children. Think of them coming here all the way from Honduras. Think of the trial of going across the entire country of Mexico to get here, and then not being able to come into the country. Yeah, let's put this up.
Senator.
I mean, this is a crisis for children. The fact that these kids are coming here making that kind of journey, and they're not going to be allowed to stay in this country.
Senator, if I may, we're the United States of America. 90% of these children have a parent or legal guardian in the United States, and they have a claim of fear of persecution.
So this is not a problem then. Your view is that this is the way it's going to be.
If I may, Senator, they have a claim under the law for humanitarian relief, either their claim of asylum or their claim for special immigrant juvenile status.
Yeah.
And we can, in fact, meet the challenge.
Yeah.
Humanitarian.
What I find astonishing, Mr. Chairman, is that we have the secretary responsible for securing our border and our immigration system who doesn't recognize these charts as being a problem. And they are human beings behind these numbers. And it is not saying, hey, we've got to make some changes immediately. I find that extraordinary and extremely damning. Let me turn to a different topic. And that is, some years ago, immigration was, well, if you will, the huddled masses yearning to be free. And we were encountering people who wanted to come to this country, and we were able to offer them hope for a better life. Today, increasingly, much of what we're seeing here is a result of cartels that have learned how to take advantage of current law in the United States to defeat our systems and not provide the people that are being brought here the opportunity that they were seeking. I think there's an urgent need to rethink our immigration system to make sure that we recognize we're dealing with a different circumstance in many cases than we were before. And a discussion of root causes, we need to address the root causes in Latin America. Gosh, we've got root causes in our own country. We've got challenges here we can't solve. We've been working on for years. The countries around the world who have problems that we can't solve all the problems of the world, let alone the problems in Latin America and the problems here in our country. Do you agree with this, that we have to focus on enforcing our border, finishing the border barrier, using the technology? By the way, if it's technology, use technology, but somehow deal with this in an urgent and aggressive manner. Have proposed a mandatory E-Verify system in our country. Do you believe that's a good idea? Florida is using that effectively. Should we have an E-Verify system for our country that's mandatory?
Senator, I believe in E-Verify. I think it is an effective tool. Its effectiveness grew under my administration as a director of U.S. Citizens.
Should it be mandatory? And so that our businesses are required to check the legal status of people they're hiring?
Whether it should or should not be mandatory is actually something that I have not yet determined.
I'll look forward to that determination. Thank you.